Hello Year 7. I hope you've been enjoying the snow this week. I've certainly been very cold on my walks to school in the morning. So we're going to start today's lesson by just having a look at whereabouts we are in history. So at the beginning of term we were looking at the Roman period before we moved on to the Anglo-Saxon period, and then we looked at 1066 and the Normans. But recently, we have been looking at a period known as the medieval period or the Middle Ages. Now, this time period actually lasts a really long time. It goes all the way from the year 500 in the Anglo-Saxon period to about 1500 AD, which is just at the start of the Tudor period. And specifically, in the medieval period, since Christmas, we have been looking at something known as the Plantagenet period. And now this was a royal dynasty called the House of Plantagenet, who ruled England for 331 years, all the way from 1154, which is just here after the Normans, all the way to 1485, where we have the start of the Tudor period. In today's lesson, we are going to be having a look at the Middle Ages or the medieval period, but not in England. We're going to be going across the world and having a look at the Middle Ages during the Islamic Empire. So your title for today's lesson is What Islamic Ideas Should Medieval England Have Learnt From? So you can pause the video now so you have time to write the date and the title in your books. So pause the video now. So the Islamic faith was founded by the Prophet Muhammad in the 7th century, just here in this red country here, which is modern day Saudi Arabia and Yemen. And when he died, there was 632 caliphs who took over the leadership of the Muslim people. And then over the next 100 years, other countries were taken over and a huge empire was created. So you can see on the map here, the orange and the green, the orange, the yellow and the green countries were added to create this enormous Islamic empire. Now, just as a quick warm-up, I would like you to get your planners out and have a look at the map in your planners. And as you can see on this map that I have here, there are some names, modern day names of the countries. However, there are some countries that don't have the modern day's names. So I would like you to spend 2 minutes trying to name as many modern countries as you can in the Islamic Empire. And you can take a note of these countries in your books underneath your title. Pause the video now and spend 2 minutes doing that. So pause the video now. So before we have a look at what life was like in some of the places in the Islamic Empire, I want us to take our minds back to medieval England. And we're going to be having a look at some illnesses and then their medieval cures. So we have 1, a migraine, a terrible headache. 2, gout, swollen joints, so that could be on your knees or your ankles. And 3, swollen eyes. Now, the medieval cures, we have something called trepanation, which you can see an image of here, drilling a hole into the skull. We then have tying a live crab around the neck. And then finally, C, pluck, that should say Anne, pluck an owl and take its insides out. Put salt in it and put it in an oven until it's burnt, and then put the burnt owl on the inflicted area. So in your books, I would just like you to write 1, 2, and 3, and match the letter, so match the cure to the illness. That should just take you about 1 minute, so you can pause the video now, so you have time to do that. Pause the video now. Okay, so here are some of the answers. First of all, a migraine. That would be trepanation. So you'd have a headache and you'd get a hole drilled in your skull. Gout, swollen joints. So this one would be, you'd pluck an owl, put it in the oven, and you'd rub the burnt owl onto your swollen joints. And then finally, swollen eyes. You tie a live crab around the neck. So I'm not sure how much I would have liked to be treated for any of these illnesses in medieval England. So the Islamic world was far ahead of England in the Middle Ages. They had surgery, they had proper hospitals and proper doctors, they invented lots of amazing instruments, they had some of the first universities in the world, they invented algebra, they have all of these different words that actually we use in English today, these Arabic words like chemistry, magazine, coffee, sugar, orange. They knew so much more about astronomy. This picture of Justin Bieber is because they actually had some famous, very famous singers who went around the Islamic world touring. They even had beauty parlors and they even had invented deodorant. So all in all, I think it would have been much better to live in the Islamic Empire in the Middle Ages instead of England. Don't really fancy having a live crab tied around my neck. So the Islamic Empire between the 9th and the 13th century is known as the Golden Age. So what I would like you to do is you are going to be watching a video that you'll find on Satchel One. The link is called Video 1. I would like you to watch the video, and once you have watched the video, I would like you to write the answer to this question in your history books. Now, there is a word in there, a key word here, which is a caliph, which is the chief or the king of a country in the Islamic world. So this task in total is going to take you about 8 minutes. So I'd like you to pause the video now, watch video 1, and answer this question in your books. So pause the video now. So our main task for today, we are going to be having a close investigation at life in the Islamic world. So specifically life in Baghdad, like you just saw in that video. And we're going to have a look at some similarities and differences between life in Baghdad in the Middle Ages and life in medieval England. And then we're going to decide what we think Europe and England should learn from the Islamic world. So before I explain the task in detail, I would like you to draw out this table that you can see on the video. Now, to make sure that you have space, I would advise that you use a whole page in your history book and you turn it around landscape. So, if you could pause the video now and spend 2 minutes drawing out this table. So you can pause the video now. So, you are going to be going on a voyage to Baghdad. You need to think like you're a European merchant, so a European salesman, and you're going on a trip to Baghdad. You're going to buy goods to sell in Europe, but you're also curious about the wonders of this city that you've heard so much about, because rumour is that Baghdad is far more splendid than any city in Europe. So, what you're going to be doing in your table is you need to open a document on Satchel One, which is called Information Baghdad. What you are going to do is read through the information, but you're also going to read through the information on the table here. In this box, you're going to write down some similarities and differences in Baghdad, and I'd like you to have at least 3 bullet points for each box. And then in this last box, you are going to write what you think Europe should learn from the Islamic world. So this task in total should take you about 25 minutes. So I would like you to pause the video now so you have a chance to complete this task. So pause the video now.